I'd like to start with a yawn. Good evening. This is Ken at Tortoise Capital. This is the nightly strategy podcast for November 18th, 2020. And off we go. All right. So today we had a rejection of yesterday's high and then a steady sell-off all the way into the close with most of the selling happening like in the last half hour to an hour as it broke below the two-day low. To finish in the middle of the dragon, right at the Z1 natural support level. So now we're pretty much in a critical state where we've had the summer rollover. So you get peak RL10 at about 362. Crossed the baby dragon yesterday and then sold off normally today to Z1. The U.S. was looking stronger than the rest of the world in the aftermarket. So this is just part of a global pause, if you will. I mean, the Asian markets had been up 13 days in a row, the best winning streak since 1988. So some profit taking at some point is to be expected. And the U.S. was holding up better than the others. So on the downside, tomorrow we'd be looking for support levels at Z1, the bottom of the dragon at 353. The Bollinger Band mean is next at about 346. I would suppose I would add in the dragon peak right here as a support level. You'd really like to see it above 348 to reverse. You wouldn't want to see it penetrate below 340, then it's back into this again. But then Bollinger Band mean, which is about a 5% sell-off right now. And that's at about 346. And that's also tomorrow's PSAR is going to be right in there. And then today's PSAR at 344-ish. Then Z1, belly of the dragon, belly of the RL10, and long-term fair value all down here, just waiting. You'll notice that the 10-day range tightened up from here to here. That'll be tomorrow's 10-day low, and then the 10-day low will raise up to about 350.5 in a couple days. So there's almost a little squeeze play going on here to see, well, what are you going to do, market? Are you going to maintain this momentum and continue to drive on, or is this going to look more like this collapse? I think it's to the upside, to be honest. All right, let's look at the sectors and see what we got. All right, so we started with the S&P down because of that last hour selling at down 1.2%. You had diamonds coming in at just a fraction better, 1.19. The Russell down 1.4. And only the treasuries in the green today from the U.S. at plus 0.3. The things that were better than the market today, the sectors, let's work our way up the stack. Tech only lost 1%. Then you had a nice tight cluster of energy, materials, consumer discretionary, all between like 0.7 and 0.9. Emerging markets in Japan in here about a third. Mexico was up a quarter. Clean energy was up a quarter. USO oil up 0.45 along with the FANGs 0.45. You had Ackman's hedge fund up 1.15. And then working our way down from the top, all the big names that were winning today, Nikola up 15%. So that's also an electric vehicle company competing with Tesla. They use a hydrogen fuel cell. They have a lot more hype than actual product, but Nikola is coming out of a sell-off into a sideways quiet channel, and today was the first day bounce out of there. I think maybe in sympathy with people that are looking for the next Tesla stock in the electric vehicle space, along with the announcement from England that they're accelerating the rate at which they want a full conversion to electric vehicles. I think it was by 2030 or something, but they've accelerated that. So the Chinese company NIO was up today, NIO, and I should have done better at getting them on our radar screen sooner. So the electric vehicle companies were in great shape today. Virgin Galactic 5.8%, the VIX 3%, DuPont and Win up 1.5%, Twitter and Caterpillar up 1.12 and 0.5 respectively. Alcoa in the green at a third, Nvidia basically flat. So there was some tech involved today. Now these were the tech names that were in the red, but were better than the S&P. You had some Amazon, Intel, Apple, and then Google right around the S&P itself. So most of the tech was a little better than the S&P today, but otherwise it was really, it was more of the materials, and then really just a few specific storage stocks. All right, on the downside then, reminder, the S&P down 1.2, Google and Cisco down 1.3, the Russell down 1.4. Sectors that were weaker was healthcare and Brazil at minus 1.85, oil exploration minus 2, energy and Simon Property Group, the commercial real estate, down almost 3%. Wheat and precious down 5.5%. And then here's the triple techs down 2.3 and 3.3 respectively. And then you got, again, some big names in here. Boeing, Devon Energy. I've added the Bitcoin Trust, GBTC, to the stack. Should have that in there sooner. But we'll start looking at that officially. Nucor and Clift are all both down 1.75, 1.65. Microsoft 1.5. Procter and U.S. Steel down 1.5. So tech was a mixed bag today, and you had some of these international sectors doing better than the S&P, along with energy and material. So it was kind of a non-tech day of gains today, plus selected story stocks. So I'm going to look at a couple of those stories. These are in the nature of continuation plays. So this is Tesla, fresh off its 11% gain yesterday. It had a little gap up, crossed the VWAP, cash in a fraction in the usual way, a re-entry in a fraction, a re-entry in a fractional loss. Now what we have is the all-important, not just a sideways quiet channel, not just a Z3 pinch, but we have the super pinch, because now everything is inside the Z3 lines, and the Z3 lines are less than a frog box. So now the breakout from Z3 and the super pinch, followed by a second position when it turns to summer, and it has cleared the two previous Z3 maxes. A third position, because why not? Because it has moved up another leg and moving out. A fourth position, because why not? And then it peaks up here at Z2. I take half with the sniper and half with the manager, so that turns out to be a pretty nice trade in Tesla. And, oh, by the way, the reentry, I don't even show it. The reentry happens here, and this thing goes to 495. So there's another leg about as big as that blue arrow to the upside. So as nice as this move was, you get another half again as much on the move up to 495. So Tesla turns out to be a pretty nice one today. And again, in keeping with it, other strategy, keeping 1/5 of the position as adding to the swing position. So using market's money. Here was Mexico. So Mexico's been in great shape. I think that's a reaction to Biden and the end of the shenanigans at the border, at least the current form of them. And so this was a gap up, sell off to winter, and then a supported spring crossing with the stop in the usual place. This is about 2R to get out at the on the sniper exit, and that was triggered for me because of the excursion beyond Z2 that it couldn't hold, and why not? This then was almost a bottom tick, but then we tried the RLXD reentry. Was initially okay and then sold off for about a half an hour loss. Tried the reentry again shortly thereafter. That paid off. Exit, it held, crossed again, so reentry, again with a tight stop in here of about, maybe 10 cents. I thought about a second position here, but I was fully engaged with Tesla on the other screen. So that one just passed me by. And I just took the routine exit at the Bollinger Band. So that was Mexico. This is a swing chart. This is a swing chart on Bitcoin. So these are all dailies. He's been bugging me to buy Bitcoin for all the reasons, really since May. I didn't buy it in May and regretted it. He said, hey, after this SQC, he said, be ready, this thing is going to go. I said, yeah, right, okay. I thought about it here. I didn't and regretted that. It pulled back into another sideways quiet channel. He reminded me in mid-October, says, hey, there's another chance in this thing. And this time I listened to him. So I bought the basically the supported spring crossing with the usual stop, and because it's Bitcoin and volatile, I've just been using the PSAR stop here. I added a second position when it broke above the Z3. Thought about a third position here when it broke above the Z3 excursion, but I didn't. Wish I had. Yeah, but if wishes were fishes, we'd all be eating fish sandwiches. Today, yesterday there was this nice big move up. Today it gapped up and then started to harsh its way down. As this was coming down, I took the stop, which was here at about 17, and I just arbitrarily raised it to 19 to lock in a couple bucks so I'm on the far side of the dragon. And then I played some turbo trades intraday on this one. It's harder because it's an OTC stock, so you can't do market orders. You got to hit, you got to put your limit orders in. But so it's not quite as liquid. So that's something to keep in mind. But the turbo trade then in Bitcoin this morning, the Bitcoin Trust, was first. I was really only interested on the long side, and this sell-off right here, it was starting up at almost 21, and then was selling off towards 19. And this is when I moved my stop over to there's 19.20. So 19 would be right down, just off the bottom of the screen. That held, and so this felt like a support a spring crossing because that's exactly what it is. On a liquid stock, I want to believe I would have added another position either in here or not later than when it crosses the VWAP. I did not because this is an OTC over-the-counter stock. So just manage the regular position. And this time, I actually triggered this at the PSAR, and in the time it took to hit the limit order, I get filled down here at the Bollinger Band mean in the usual way. I noticed this, but didn't trade it. There was a collapsing dragon in here that was really attractive, and so was crossing the VWAP was attractive. But this time it came down all the way back to 1960, had a little run up, sold off, had another little run up right in here, and so I bought some back as a swing trade at 1950, programming some of the money that I made on the intraday in here. So I was using a 20-cent stop here. This would actually be a $1 stop. You can't see it because it's off the, it's like at 1850. So I've only got, a fifth of the position size on this, and I'm treating that as an additional swing trade. But that's Bitcoin, and you get some significant moves there intraday. Yeah, I think those were the trades. Yeah, those are the trades for today. Yep, that's all. All right, so let's go to the daily. Ooh. Finally, there we go. Thank you. Okay, so we remain in bullish normal conditions. So bullish normal conditions. We are oversold on the long term. I'm sorry, overbought on the long terms. Middle of average on the 2 week. On the shorter cycle, we're at minus 58 today. So today was a rejection of the previous 2-day range. Still strongly into green bullish, and the ADX is still neutral, and the risk Z has given us, favorable signals for the swing. Although with a Z-square of 1.6, we're getting close to the upper limit of a normal easy swing, if I can put it that way. No signals on channeling and overreaction. The 10-day min pains, some usual names are Goldman, DuPont, Verizon, Caterpillar, 3M. Microsoft, Amgen, and Home Depot remain max pains, along with Monsanto, Lowe, and Pfizer. And Simon Property Group, we should add that one. Right, Dow Tactical 30. DuPont stands out as a breakout on all of the time dimensions. Let me let that come up on the screen for you. Yep. So Dow on the breakout. 5 good ones on the auto framer, including Home Depot, Intel, McDonald's, Microsoft, number 1. And Microsoft also with channeling. Nice. And then Walgreens also on the 2.7 to 1, and it is a triple screen. Strength in Mexico today. Big mover. Only two dojis here, treasuries and oil, both of which were up today. 4-to-1 on gold, and it's a channeling. So if we see some more weakness in the market like we saw today, it could be gold's return. And with the big sell-off in wheat and precious metals down 5.5, that might be a nice potential tactical entry point if we get some traction tomorrow. In the auto framer, still some good names in there. Gold, McDonald's, Microsoft, Walgreens, Intel, Home Depot, and Procter. I mean, that's the murderer's row. That's like the 27 Yankees. Pretty nice lineup of value plays with some great reward to risk ratios. McDonald's, Apple, and Disney all testing out better than 2-to-1 for the daily squeeze. That's good. Summer still dominating both the ETFs and the Dow, although we're having a few start to roll over now. Microsoft, United Health, Amgen, Healthcare, all starting to roll over into the fall now. That's the first signs of weakness. Multi-time frame NDX, only DuPont showed anything like strength today, as did Mexico on the ETF side. Mexico, and we should also say treasuries. Unsurprising, showing some strength now. That would be a place to look because it's had a considerable pullback, and it's actually one of the weaker long-term symbols in the stack. And I think that's everything we want to look at. Except price with respect to the river. This is sort of a normal pullback, but both times, the last two times that it exceeded the top of the river and then pulled back, it went on ahead to test the bottom side of the river. So I'm mindful of the thought that this thing gets to about 338. And so if we come back and look at 338 on this one, that's a move down here to the basically to the bottom of the river would be an absolutely normal play, which is not surprising. So we've had about a 3% sell-off from the top, and we don't want that to become an 8% sell-off. So to me, I think the bottom of the dragon is probably the spot. I'd be willing to give it like this much more room tomorrow. Okay? For those things that are correlated to the S&P. All right, that's everything I got for you. We'll get this thing posted. And there was some really good work today in the chat room, and I can commend that to your tactical attention, those of you that are day trading. Right? So it was some good discussions about how do we define a double bottom and things like that. Some maybe the more technical elements. Okay, so take good care, and we will be ready for tomorrow.